It is the month of June, and that means that it is holiday season for a lot of us. So is your tank vacation ready? Hey, what is going on, friends? Welcome back to another video. If you are new to the channel, my name is Ashley and I make new fish videos every single week. So remember to smash the subscribe button and come join the family. So in about 2 to 3 weeks time, I will be flying off for a vacation holiday for about 2 weeks. So I need to prep my tank and make sure that everything is going fine. While I was thinking through what I need to ensure and everything, I thought I'll share with you guys 5 tips that I came up with to make sure that your tank is vacation ready. Now that said, I'm sure a lot of you guys are more experienced than me. So what I want you guys to do is go down to the comment section below and leave me your best tip. Or if you have many, then leave me all your tips and hopefully we can crowdsource all the tips. Everyone else who is interested, then do go down to the comment section below and see what others have to say. If you think they left a good comment, give them a like. Don't worry, while I'm on vacation, there will still be uploads. I have filmed ahead of time, so those will be uploading, and I will still be filming while I'm on vacation, and that will be uploaded after I'm back. There will be some exciting things to see, and yeah, sgbearded.aquarist goes global. Alright, so tip number 1 is get an auto feeder. Now I know what you're thinking is like, duh, but no, it's not actually that obvious, because I think a lot of us would choose to get someone to look after our tank for us and get them to feed. Now think about it, how many times, or at least for myself, how many times have I heard that people lost their fishes because the person looking after it fed too much? People we get to look after are usually not trained aquarists, they're not experienced aquarists, so they tend to overfeed. We can guide them, but getting an auto feeder really eliminates that risk. Now that said, it's not that I don't trust my family to feed my fishes. For me, it is more of I want to keep the burden off anyone else, and so this is my tank, my burden. I don't want someone to have to look after it for me while I'm gone. This actually brings us to point number 2. Tip number 2, feed minimally. You don't want to give your fishes a buffet while you're gone. Fishes can go several days, depending on their size and their health, of course, and the conditions. They can go several days or even weeks without food. So if you're going for a vacation that's only 2 to 3 days and your fish is a very healthy fish, technically you could not even feed. For me, I'm going away for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, I don't want to run the risk of not feeding them. And also I have my turtle inside, so I got to make sure my turtle gets food. If not, if he gets too hungry, I'm not sure what he'll do to the rest of them. And that is actually my biggest concern, but let's not get to that. So what you want to do is make sure that you feed minimally, right? The last thing you want to do is get your water really dirty and get everything, all your filters and everything clogged up. You have an ammonia spike while you're gone, or the nutrients level are too high because you can't do water changes, and then you start getting algae blooms, and that's where all the problems come. Yeah, planes in every video. Story of my life. And that actually brings us to point number 3. Point number 3 is use either a hang-on back filter or an air stone, and either one or both, and that is because these do not clog that easily. Now hang-on back filters do clog, but what they are able to do is that they are able to overflow and come back in here, so you will get constant circulation. The problem with internal filters, for example the one that I have, is that once they clog, the filter stops going, and when the filter stops going, best case scenario, nothing happens. Mid case scenario, your filter just dies out and the motor spoils, and worst case scenario, I don't know, short circuit and lack of circulation. And if that's the only circulation you're depending on, then your fishes might actually suffocate and die. And so you want to avoid things that can clog, or at least, even if you want something that you know wouldn't clog, that will constantly aerate your water and make sure that it is oxygenated, and make sure that there is constant circulation no matter what in your tank. And that brings us to our 4th point. Tip number 4, plants. Now remember what I said about your nutrients building up, your filters can get clogged. Now with plants, it's pretty much fail safe, right? If you put it in your hang-on back, like I said, hang-on backs, they can clog, but it will still overflow, and if it overflows, the water is still passing through your plants and you will still get biological filtration. If you put it straight into your tank, then no matter what, your plants will be constantly filtering, and then that is a filter that is a fail-safe filter. I mean, there are scenarios it can fail, but this is a lot safer, and it does actually reduce your nutrient level instead of just simply converting the ammonia into nitrate. Now, if you're not familiar with that, I'll put a card on the top right hand corner of the screen. You can go learn about the nitrification cycle, which is super important when it comes to things like this. Alright, you guys know that I do work out, but my arm hurts from those shots that I had to hold the camera up, because now I'm using a different lens that my friend gave me to try. So it's a wide angle lens, and oops, am I in focus? Now I have my mic on it and another light on it, and ooh, that was quite a workout. Okay, tip number 5. What was it? Oh, don't do anything just before you leave. Now that's it. Things like water changes, I am definitely going to be doing water changes leading up to leaving, to make sure my water is as clean as possible and make sure that my filters and everything are all clean so they can last as long as possible. But I'm not going to do it, like, to me, 24 to 48 hours before is the amount of time you want to leave the tank to be running. Now there are a few reasons for that. Sometimes after you know, do a water change, sometimes you forget to turn on the air stone, you forget to turn the filter back on, or you didn't put the cartridge in properly, or you forgot to do something. For me, sometimes my hang-on back filter, I would forget to tilt it forward and it gets tilted back, and when that overflows, you know, it doesn't flow back to the tank, it flows out of the tank. So you want to give some time to make sure that things are running, everything is okay, and then you leave at that point. Don't do it right before you leave for vacation, and if you forget to turn something on or you forget to do something, and then you can't change it, right? So do it 24 to 48 hours before, make sure everything is done, let it be running, and that's it. Then you are ready to go. So those are the 5 tips. Again, if you guys have any personal experience that you have learned something, some special tip, some very useful tip, then go down, let's crowdsource and let's find out what are the best tips for making sure your tank is vacation ready. I hope you guys will share with everyone what are your best tips. And hey, if your tip is really useful, I will pin your comment up. I can only pin one comment. I'll pick the best, and your comment will be pinned to the top so everyone can see your tip. So now that the tips are done, let me share with you guys what I am doing to make sure that my tank is truly vacation ready and fail safe. So the several things I had to take into consideration, of course, the duration of my trip. So something that I really thought about is my internal filter. Now I'm scared it clogs. That said, if it clogs because of my hang-on back and my air stone, as I've said, I know that things will be safe. I'm more concerned about maybe just, I don't want the filter to spoil, I'm not sure. So like I said, my family is around. I will probably tell them to look out for it. I'll hook up the air pipe so as well. It's putting air into the water column, so you can actually see the bubble. So when that bubble stops disappear, at least I can let my family know to disconnect it so that it doesn't spoil. I am thinking of putting in a second filter because I do have an extra filter, so maybe I just leave it in there and get extra, let it accumulate some level of beneficial bacteria. Obviously it won't be as much because I won't leave it on, and then if that one, if my one inside right now gets clogged, then you can plug that out and plug the new one in. So this is just a safety precaution. I'm pretty sure that even if I just take this filter out, everything will be just fine, especially that I'll be feeding minimally and there's plenty of circulation and plants that are filtering the aquarium. Something else I have to be concerned about is evaporation. So technically it should be fine. My hang-on back filter does have quite an allowance. It can go before it will run out, but that said, just to make sure that everything is fine, everything is doing, I will get my family to help me top up water. So there are some systems I believe out there that can give you auto top up, but for me it's not too big of a concern. So that is that. I guess the final one is Tom needs to bask. So the light, currently I'm not running any lights on timers. I turn it on every day and I turn it off every day. So I will have to get a timer for my light, basking light, to come on while I'm off, and so that Tom can continue to bask. The aquarium lights, I will leave them off all the way. Minimal stress. I don't really need to waste that electricity, and my plants are all low demand plants, Anubias and Java ferns, so they don't actually really need the light. And there will be, because my tank is by the window, there is actually quite a bit of natural sunlight. One last tip maybe, or something that I'm also making sure I do, is that in my auto feeder, you want to make sure that it's able to reach all the fishes, right? So different fishes have different food that they eat, and Tom eats different food. So for me, I mix it out. Make sure you test it before. So that's why I'm running it right now. From 2 weeks ahead, I'm running it. Make sure that everything is going fine. I'll change the batteries just before I leave. And with the foods, so for example, for me, Thanos needs certain types of food. He needs certain types of food, right? Some of them are just too small, so Tom wouldn't be able to eat enough of it. And for example, if I just go with big, then it'll be too big for example, the tiger barbs. So have that variety. Make sure that everything is in there. Some needs to be floating, some needs to be sinking, some needs to sink slowly. So there's all of that thing to take into consideration, and also different timers, different auto feeders have different feeding styles. So you can feed multiple times a day, or you can feed, for example, in each feeding also, you can set it that it feeds a lot at one go, or you can feed it that it feeds a bit less but it goes 2 rounds. And so the benefit I have found with 2 rounds is that, because in the first round, especially if your food sinks fast and you have fish that eat not from the bottom, then what you really need to do is to go for 2 rounds, right? The first round, it will sink pretty fast, but it at least gives the fish some time to swim to the area and know that food is being dropped in. And then when it goes for that second round, it drops in, and then he'll eat all that food. Although the amount being fed is the same, but what you ensure is that it gives time for the fish to come there and wait for the second round of food, and then the fish will be able to eat. So those are just some minor things that I've taken into consideration, just to make sure that everything goes really just fine. Now that said, like I said, most fishes can go quite a while without food, especially if they're big fishes. So the smaller the fish, maybe the less they can actually go without food. That's it. I've ever quarantined a tiger barb before, and my own negligence, I actually didn't feed the tiger barb for I think 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe a month, and the tiger barb was just fine. And that is actually why I said that tiger barbs are really hardy, because it wasn't even a big full-grown tiger barb. It was just a average size, not a baby, but a very juvenile tiger barb. And it went, I would say, I think 4 weeks in an inadequate setup when I didn't know better, and it was being quarantined, and I forgot to feed it for 4 weeks, and it did just fine. So if you have an even bigger fish, then everything should be fine. So remember, feed minimally. Alright, I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on your post notifications, that bell beside, go ahead, hit it so you get notified every time I upload. And if not, I will see you in the next video. Beard out.
A few moments later.
So John Von Berg says, bad enough we have to look at that scruffy beard. Can you put a damn shirt on? A little class and etiquette please. All in caps. Well, John Von Berg, I'm gonna show you what is class and etiquette. This is class, and this is etiquette. Boom. Boom. Oh yeah, I've been eating too much. Alright, peace.